I'm Dawn Campbell, Business Director at the IAPC&M, and today I'm joined by Victoria and Susie. I'm going to let you lovely ladies introduce yourself. Victoria.
Hi, I'm Victoria Morley, and I am the co-founder of the House of Illumina.
And I'm Susie Cuthbertson, also co-founder of the House of Illumina.
Great. Well, it's lovely to be joined by you. I'm always really interested to know more about the energy, the philosophy, and the passion behind a training provider, because I constantly get asked by potential students, tell me more. So they can go to the directory profile, they read about you, but then they'll come back to me and say, I've chosen 2 or 3. Can you tell me a bit more? And I say, great. Go to YouTube channel. I've interviewed these ladies and you can find out more. But before we go into that, I just wanted to say a little bit about your organization. I love the words you've used on your website, the home for coaches, healers, and transformers. So you offer coach training with the human expansion coaching method. So I'd like to know more about that, because that's where science meets soul, which makes it quite a unique approach. Yes. And it's a level 5 accredited coach training program. So that's fantastic. Now, I know these 2 lovely ladies a little bit, so they're inspirational, they're spiritual, and they do shine a light on the coaching industry. But before we get into that, I always start by asking, outside of work, what fills your heart with passion? I know, you know, as entrepreneurs, we want to say work, 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 and what we do, but outside of work, what fills your heart with passion, ladies? You go first, Susie, please.
What fills my heart is, so I actually write a lot of poetry.
Ah, I didn't know that.
Yep. So I will be getting that published this year.
Fantastic.
And so journaling, poetry, turning illustrations into analogies for understanding life. Whilst that still is mission-led and feeds into our business, I could sit there doodling for hours. It just helps me understand the world that we live in better. Family, like being with my son, spending time with him and my husband and my dog, who I adore, who is also one of my children, that I tell everyone.
Yeah,
that for me lights me up. And also my, you know, parents and my sister. I spend quite a lot of time down in Wales on the beach, nature, by the sea. These are the things that fill me up. And travel. I haven't traveled as much as I would have loved to this year, but that is plans for 2024. And again, that's with the family. It's exploring and getting curious and just opening up to what the world has to offer, which is, yeah, for me, that these are the things that keep me ticking and keep me inspired, and, you know, outside of obviously Illumina. So yeah, they're probably the key things. And reading. I read. I'm a bit of a bookworm, so but all sorts of books.
So connection. I'm hearing it's connection for you.
Connection for me, yeah. And I don't often you know, I suppose fully share, but I do meditate largely, but also channel. So I will go into quite deep meditative states, and I feel like and I've said this before, but the work that me and Victoria do, but just almost being a conduit for what is flowing through right now, in terms of that soul wisdom. So, you know, it's deeply something we do at Illumina, but we also do it and, you know, embody that in my own life, and that actually gives me great sense of fulfillment, just listening to the inner knowing, no matter what it's saying. That actually is very peaceful and very calming and really does fulfill me.
Lovely. And it makes Illumina obviously very unique in its approach. What about you, Victoria, please? What fills your heart with joy? What makes your heart sing?
We are a house of animal lovers. So anything to do, we've got 6 animals, and I've got a young daughter as well. So for me, it's being in nature and being around animals. Being in nature, especially when you are a business owner, it keeps you calm, it grounds you, it gives you a sense of peace. And then being around animals for me is, once again, it helps me stay present. Because as we know, we can quite easily drift into the past, the future, rather than just staying in the here and now. So yeah, for me, it's that. I love reading, love yoga. I've started dedicating a lot more time to it now, which lights me up. Similar to Susie with meditation, I need that. I really notice massively if I don't do all these things. And anything to do with my daughter as well. I still only work 4 days in the week, so I can have a day off with her. So it's really special to me to spend lots of time with her.
Lovely.
So, yeah.
Well, we're all like-minded. We love nature, we love animals and connection. And I think networking like an Olympian, you know, because we're networking with people on social media, we're talking to people, and it's in a conversational, heartfelt way, as opposed to that salesy, old-fashioned approach to attracting potential students to your course. So
Totally.
tell us a little bit more about this wonderful, unique course that was launched earlier this year, because I know you've got another cohort coming up in January. What can people look forward to, and what have been what's been the feedback from some of your past cohort students, please?
Shall I start, Victoria? Or...
Yeah.
Yeah. So I think the first.
And by the way, Susie birthed Illumina. I also think it would be fabulous if time allows, if she just gave a very quick of how Illumina came about.
Where shall I start? Dawn?
Sure. Because it will beautifully position.
Yeah, okay, and I think this feeds into kind of the students' comments as well. So I think the key thing about Illumina was it was born from two places. One was the place of my own journey, which has been decades of healing, resourcing, transforming, finding the one thing, you know, the one thing that will resolve all the things. And I didn't find one thing, and I want to come on to that, because this is why Illumina was born. Illumina was born because what the, you know, human expansion coaching model is really about is that not one thing will unlock one person. You know, we are so complex. Our belief systems are layer cake, not just on this generation, but on past generations, that how would it be possible just to have one thing that solved everything for everyone, which is why it doesn't. So Illumina was really built on the base of this place, this house of illumination, this place where people would be able to open themselves up, like free themselves, unshackle themselves on their journey of becoming an accredited coach. So it's like the transforming piece themselves, because we believe that unless you have embodied this work, it's very difficult to take someone on that journey, their own journey, and we can impart so much soul wisdom through it. But also doing that with a modality toolkit that has different modalities for you to access, some that you may find that you absolutely gravitate towards, and that you know, that's your thing, that's your zone of genius, or some that you think, if I can use that in some of my sessions, but actually you know, these three parts of the toolkit are really the things I'm going to focus on. And it helps people to unlock their clients and give deeper transformations, because not one thing will fit all. And that was the key. The key was like, from, you know, years of healing, of research, of going on this journey and distilling it and putting it into a program. But not that was just teaching you and helping you transform, but then with the practical and logical elements was actually enabling you to facilitate your growth as a coach, which is why we have the beautiful expansion method over here. And then over here we have all the live elements where you get to turn up, you know, and get to actually coach with your fellow coaches, where you get to actually meet them in mentorship, you know, one-to-one feedback on how you're doing. And we kind of, me and Victoria both felt this is something we felt was missing when we did our coach training. There wasn't the depth, or I'm going to say the enriched community, that we didn't have that. So we decided to build it. So that was kind of where the Illumina was founded in the modules. But the other part of Illumina is about the fact that we're also seeing a different evolution of coach, because we as humans are evolving. We've got more access to wisdom and knowledge than ever, you know, with the books, with the internet, like you say, socially, we can connect with anyone at any point in the world. That we are finding that we've got a much more intelligent client. The client that sits before us is already like way advanced from, and I'm seeing this from 2 decades of coaching, from when I was doing leadership coaching, to sitting there like helping someone to find their kind of first sense of self-awareness, to I am very aware, I am very intelligent, I want more. You know, there's a deeper level within me. So we found also with the expansion model that actually this helps get belief the surface a lot more with our clients, so that we can act as that conduit for change and transformation, so that we can help them, because almost our clients are coming with, I'm going to say, a higher expectation of what they want, and it's because they have had so much access. So we teach people to with the tools that we use to enable that as well, and to help the deeper layers of transformation within their clients. So it's really it's like the evolution of coaches, and like not just doing this for a cognitive function and talk anymore. This is about somatics. This is about, you know, cellular memories in the body. It is about working with feelings and soul and visualizations, and really taking them back to home, as I want to call it, but also using talk and everything else, because we are all so different. So that's really how it all came about.
I'm glad you mentioned the evolution of coaching. I mean, as an accreditation body, we've definitely seen it. Years ago, we were accrediting what I would call very standard, pure coaching, and somebody could go away with the top 50 coaching questions and manage perfectly well. Now we tend to consider them as cookie cutter coaches, very production line. You know, there's no heart in it. There's no understanding of the mind behind it, because they can ask the questions, but they don't necessarily understand how to deal with what comes out of Pandora's box. And post-COVID especially, clients are presenting ever more complex and sophisticated issues and needs. So it's gladdening to hear that the training providers that we've accredited and are accrediting have really embraced the evolution of coaching, and are much more in tune with the science, as well as the holistic approach to working with the mind-body connection. So I commend you on recognizing and bringing that to, because you're training the next generation of excellent coaches. And, you know, if you read something like, I was looking at Psychology magazine, an Italian copy, I think it was, and they was talking about how coaches are going to be needed for the next decade, just because of the damage that children have experienced during COVID, because they are the next leaders, they are the next entrepreneurs, etc., etc. So coaching is going to be needed now more than ever, and it's only going to increase. And of course, it is the second largest growing industry anyway, outside of IT. So it's no real surprise. And then you came on board, Victoria. I know I introduced you as co-founders, but you weren't there from what you're saying right at the start.
I was, yeah.
Okay.
We launched Illumina at the same time,
Okay.
but Susie was my first ever coach, and Susie reached out to me and said, I've had this amazing idea, I'd love for you to be part of it. And I was just a full body yes. Yeah, I know. I'm like, are you sure you know what you're letting yourself in for? I'm only kidding. And yeah, so Illumina was born. And what was really, I guess I'm the proof in the pudding as well for Illumina, because when Susie was coaching me, like I trained obviously as a coach, and then I went to Susie for coaching, and I hadn't experienced some of the modalities Susie was using on me: shadow work, family constellations, trauma-informed coaching. Like I hadn't trained in that, and I'd never been coached in that. And from myself launching my business and able to grow it to where I grew it in 12 months whilst pregnant and with a very, very young child, I was able to break through and I guess quantum leap certain places that many new coaches find themselves in, you know, where they're struggling with imposter syndrome, they're struggling with confidence. So I was experiencing it. And obviously I've learned those things since and been able to bring them into my practice too, which has just been incredible. But I also was able to bring into Illumina the experience I had from starting and growing a business very, very, very quickly, replacing my corporate salary in 12 months and doing it all whilst literally working 3 days a week, which was gorgeous. So like Susie mentioned, within Illumina, they've got this amazing human expansion coaching model with these amazing modalities. Many of those I'd not heard of as a new coach. And they also get gifted as well the business program and academy as part of that, because there's so many amazing coaches out there, but they can't get clients, or they don't know how to market themselves, or they're struggling themselves with imposter syndrome, which is, again, why we put so much emphasis on personal transformation. Like, if you're thinking of coaching skills, business acumen and strategy, and personal transformation, they all have to be equally worked on in order to run a successful coaching practice and make the impact we all want to make. So it's been an amazing journey to be able to bring that in there. And obviously Susie is amazing at the business side of things as well, because she helped me massively in mine. So we seem to have brought the perfect mix into Illumina, which has been fabulous. And you mentioned something about where coaching now is more important than ever for the next generations. Well, we're, with the modalities, we're unlocking ancestral lineage, deep-seated beliefs that have been going on for generations and generations. The ripple effect that our students are talking about, how they're parenting differently, how they're already recognizing the language, the beliefs that they've been imparting on their children. Like, the ripple effect is for generations to come and generations to come. So it is so, so important at the moment, especially the world needs as much healing as it can get.
Yeah, I mean, it's interesting you say there are 3 elements to what you offer, because I've always said to student coaches, if you get nothing else out of it, if you decide not to become a professional coach and set up a business, your life will have improved exponentially because of your coach training, because the quality of your life is determined by the quality of your communication and the work, and also they will become their own best client initially, and then they can start to feed that out. So, and it's interesting that you focus on that as well as the training skills for growing a business and the business acumen and all those different modalities. So they've almost got this pick and mix approach as to what is going to resonate most with the client. And I think that's what makes it fairly unique. And from my point of view at the IAPC&M, when I've been involved with them for over a decade, but about 6 years ago, I recognized there was this massive gap where students would graduate on a Friday night, perhaps with a distinction, and then on Monday morning, they didn't know what to do with their certificate and their skills. They didn't know how to create a business. They had no idea how to replace that monthly check that popped into their bank account mysteriously from an employer, as to how they were going to get a return on their investment. So that's why I got into the CPD side and promoted what has grown now into like a £15,000 complimentary benefits package. But it was to plug that gap. But what I'm seeing now increasingly is that training providers are taking that on board and doing a certain amount themselves. Because I think you've got a responsibility as well, not just to give somebody some tools, but also to show them how to do it, but also mentor them as well.
Exactly. And we do that for 12 months. We literally, anyone who goes through our accredited diploma has 12 months worth of not just the coaching, training, mentoring and practice pod supervision, but also the business side of things as well. With, I think we give something like 120 hours of live support calls a year to our students, which is incredible. But yeah, we definitely, it's funny you should say about plugging the gap. We saw the 3 areas that we focus on are the 3 areas we actually saw huge areas of opportunity where we could support new or existing coaches a lot more, because we're getting not just aspiring coaches coming to us, we're getting coaches who have already been trained and accredited with other accreditation providers who are lacking the skills, lacking the confidence, and have been given some tools that they don't really know what to do with. And they're struggling with imposter syndrome, they're struggling with confidence on how to use them, and a lot of them aren't able to use their intuition in coaching. And this is why one of our modalities is intuition, because as we all know, you can get huge transformation in clients when you're not thinking about the next question you need to ask, and you can sit, listen, intuitively listen, and also have the confidence to go with what you're being guided to ask as well. Because I know especially a lot of women we've attracted are very soulful, spiritual women. They're very intuitive. They've just sometimes switched off that intuition. Like Susie talks about channeling. We've actually got a few students that can channel things when they're in sessions, and being able to bring that power into the world and that power into a coaching session means these students of ours are able to step into their own lane. There isn't competition when you are able to use something that is so unique to you, if that makes sense.
Yeah, and I'm not surprised to hear that you've attracted other students from our international community, because, you know, we've been accrediting training providers and individuals for 25 years. And increasingly, when I'm accrediting a new training provider, I am saying the skills that you're offering are likely to be are likely to be attractive to our existing community, because they're always looking to add more depth and dive deeper into mind-body connections and more training. So although they're existing coaches, they might not have those skills and want to add them to the toolkit. So don't be surprised if you pick up new members or new clients even from our existing community. I was just reaching for a book, and I don't know whether that you can see this, but I'm just going to turn my screen off so you can see it, because it's a very valuable book. And if I've not shared it with you before, I know you are going to want to take a deep dive into this. Metaphysical Anatomy by Yvette Rose. So when you were talking about the ancestral situation that a lot of clients are dealing with, I remember reading the emotion code, and they were talking about the symptoms that they were having went back either years or very, very deep, you know, below the concrete, and using magnets to draw out these trapped emotions. So really mind-blowing research out there that's available to us now, isn't it?
Crazy,
yeah, and I think one of the things that you said before, Dawn, was about this Pandora's box from almost like from the pandemic. It got people to reassess their lives, reassess their mortality, like everything. We start to question everything, which is why I feel that these modalities are so useful, because you're not just training. This is what we said, the coach part, yes, but even the intuition part. It's about how do you use your intuition in life? How do you start to learn to trust yourself again? How do you start to you know, put these practical elements into your life so you can make change? And I think the majority of the feedback we're getting right now, and we had something drop in, we've got a beautiful community in our Telegram group, and one of the clients, and I won't go into detail because it's very personal, I will say the level that our women share is unbelievable. The level of depth of vulnerability they are you know, they go to with each other in the coaching pods, but also in the group, is actually in itself a form of healing for everyone. And means that we can even be more vulnerable with ourselves, which is obviously a gift. But the key thing for me was the level of transformation that people are talking about with their lives, the huge life altering decisions they're making right now, the chaos that they are prepared to bring, because they know on the other side of that rainbow there is what they're looking for. And they are trusting. They're trusting, and this is all from the modalities, from, you know, being able to you know, work out what shadow archetype they're in, being able to talk to the shadow archetype, being able to mediate and starting to grow from that, you know, that being able to communicate their needs, understanding that their needs at some point in their life weren't met, and they're actually maybe, you know, using someone else currently to do that, and they realize, actually, I can do this myself. You mean I can fulfill my own needs? I can be my own safety. I can be my own anchor. And from that, what we're seeing in the group, like every day, messages are being posted in there, is another courageous, brave decision. And yes, there is lots in there about business, but this is real legacy life work. This is things that they're doing right now in their lives, is hugely impacting their children, hugely interrupting their partnerships, their friendships, their relationships, the amount that they accept and love themselves. And I've got to say, even though we kind of knew that would come out somewhere, because, you know, we hoped, I've got to say, even myself, I am I'm just going to say honored to watch what is actually coming out at the other end of this diploma, to see what journeys people are actually saying they're going on. It isn't what I thought, but it's even more than I ever thought. And that is why this is so fulfilling for us, but obviously for Illumina, and just watching everybody else, and everyone's leveraging everyone else's courage and bravery in there, because they know it to be true, and their soul's telling them the thing that they want is true. But when they see another woman decide yes, to go all in yes on themselves, that I don't know if you agree with me here, Victoria, but that is the magic. That is the magic of what we're creating. So it is an accreditation, absolutely. It is amazing coach training, and these women are becoming phenomenal coaches. But this transformation piece for me is the key to it all, because that is making everyone, like in every single area of their life, you know, the highest version of who they came here to be. Every day we're seeing it unlock within people.
And ourselves, can I add as well, because we have been
Yeah,
through
of course.
the most insane transformational journey ourselves whilst teaching this.
And it's ongoing. You know, it's an evolution. So what I'm hearing is it's about self-mastery. It's about courage and self-mastery to take back control.
Take back control from, you know, our thoughts, feelings, beliefs, but also the huge part of what we do is the emotional intelligence, is the finding it in the body, is where did it, you know, we know emotions stem before thought. They happen before we even get to think. So it's letting people understand, and this is where the science and soul part comes from. There's a very soulful element to this, but I very much was very masculine, feminine. I like the facts and figures and the practical, logical, but then there's this part of me that wants possibility and limitlessness and everything else that comes with it. And funny enough, so do our women. So we give them the you know, like, this is the science behind emotions, and this is, you know, where they work, and this part of the brain is a receptor for it, and this is how it all gets figured out, and the, you know, how we communicate with each other. But in a soulful way, this is it. And we're getting people to really open up from this Pandora's box, this suppression, this, you know, they're scared to feel the intensity of it. Like, it's so intense, I can't, so I'll stop. And we're actually allowing people to feel the intensity safely and be able to express that as a form of a self-expression of who they are, so they can show up in the world as themselves. And this is impacting their, not just coaching ability from having to be someone behind, you know, Zoom that they're not, feeling like they have to put on this face of professionalism all day, which is exhausting, because I've been here, done that. But the other side of it, where they're able to show up in their business, they're able to start showing up in their business, expressing themselves, being themselves, showing themselves, and the judgment piece is lessened from all the shadow work. So it's almost, this thing out here is playing out, but it's also playing out for them in their life and in their business. And that's really the part that, I mean, everything, you probably see it, but it just is so exciting, because I just, like you said, Dawn, it's an evolution. Who knows where this will go, because it's just creating so many ripples at the moment.
It's an amazing part of your legacy. So how is this wonderful course delivered? Just explain, if you would, or describe for anybody listening what they're likely to benefit from, and how does it work?
So the key part here is that the diploma is all self-paced and recorded. Now, we started off doing it live, and it was amazing, and the energy was fabulous. But what we found was we were attracting women that already had children, already had a business, or already trained to be a coach. And actually, there was this time element where, you know, we were training for like 5 hours on a Monday. So we broke it down. So all of the core now diploma is self-paced, so that you can do this in your own time. But alongside that, you have an additional 10 hours a month where you get to join live, you know, coaching practice pods, Q&As, mentoring, visibility pods for online for your business mentorship. So you've actually got like this full robust, again, we give the lessons out in advance, so you can book them in. You get to pick and choose what you feel like you really need that month, what you feel like you really need support with. And through that, you've also got the community, which is in Telegram. So we've got a business group and a coaching group, so we can master our coaching in one, master our business in the other. And that's simply how it's delivered. And around that, there are other certifications, other support groups. It's quite a ecosystem that we've created.
And as trainers, Susie, you're the master coach. Victoria, you're the senior coach, accredited. And I'm just wondering, as a correspondence type course, you know, they work at their own pace because they're, as you say, their domestic situation demands it. How do you keep them on track? Because I've heard in the past, you know, if there's no deadline date, if they don't have to do it this month or this year, life gets in the way and they can drift and be on this course for years. How do you make sure that that doesn't happen?
We drip feed. So we drip feed the course. So every single week they get new content landing in their inbox. Helps massively. And then with all the live support we have as well, mindset pods, like Susie said, the coaching practice pods, the community, there is always points where we are encouraging, where we are inspiring, where other people in cohorts are encouraging and inspiring to basically keep, like, we often check where people are on, obviously on their course, and there's very few that fall behind the masses, if that makes sense. So Susie spoke about vulnerability before. In our Telegram group, we will often have women saying, I have just hidden for the last 5 weeks. I've done nothing in there. I really want to be coached on this. Can someone coach me on this? Someone will jump in and coach them on it, or someone will hop on a call with them, or we'll respond back to them in Telegram. So it's a combination of giving them prompts. So it's like, yeah, it's still here. It's still here. You've got this mindset pod you can jump on, but then it's also creating this space where they don't have to hide if they are hiding. They can be vulnerable. They can say, I'm really struggling at the moment. I'm really struggling with my confidence levels of just even, you know, on the study side of things, I've got imposter showing up. And then there are so many people, as well as myself and Susie, that are there cheering other people on. I mean, one of our students said it's like one big family here, and it really is.
Yeah, I can imagine. I did a short moon energy course, just four evenings over a month. And the community that this group of women built up was incredible after just 4 weeks. So that bonding, that like-minded support and energy. But how is it the 10 hours they actually have access to you ladies a month? 10 hours?
Yeah. So, and I want to just, there's two things here in terms of accountability. The number one is they get a client concierge. So when they start, they get someone to meet with that will then take them through where everything is. Because I find a lot of the time when I started online programs, if there were, you know, there was quite a lot in them, which ours is, you know, ours is really robust. It was almost like, where do I start? So they have this gorgeous onboarding call, and they have a checkpoint halfway through the main curriculum, but they also have 12 months. So they know they've got 12 months of live support. So the aim is to use the 12 months so that it doesn't, Dawn, like you say, keep rolling on until I'll just do it next year. You've got 12 months. But I've got to say, the majority of the people that sign up with us are like, they just want it. Like, we've got quite a few people now ticking off their assessments because they've aimed to themselves by January they want to be accredited. And then through the power of the women, once one starts showing their certificate, then obviously the others start to really feed off of that as well. So there is a client concierge. There are check-in points with us. I will say about the 10 hours, which is amazing. Not many co-founders are in it with their students. We're like in it. We are not just obviously giving the direct one-to-one feedback in terms of their coaching and actually holding the sessions, but we kind of know where everyone is at on this journey. And I feel like there is this, you know, right now I've got 2 calls next week with people that are going through assessments because I've checked in with them because I want to know where they're at what point they are, what they're feeling. And also we get feedback all the time. So we're not talking about testimonials, which are beautiful and amazing. We're also talking about, if we could do this another way to help you, what would it be? Like, if you could have this any way that you wanted, like, how would that look? And obviously some of it will take on because it is practical and we can actually start to implement it, and some of it isn't. So I also feel like there is this touch point with me and Victoria right now at this gorgeous like time in Illumina where people are really getting a lot of one-to-one input from us directly, because everything is held by us. None of this is actually sourced out. I'm not going to say it will always stay like that, but right now that is actually where we are, and we just love it because it's a two-way energy stream. And the more that we are present with that, the more we just, I suppose, get nourished from it, and vice versa. So we do know as we grow, we will have more illuminators, which is what we call our community. And through that, our illuminators will then come and illuminate for us and work with us. And because they'll have been through it, and then they can champion people through the curriculum and know at points where they may struggle. There are points where Victoria said where when we got to shadow work, people were struggling because it is such vulnerable work. Like, imagine being asked to look at the depths of your shadow and look at the parts of it that you're not liking about yourself, and then go off and do the work that you need to heal with it. that is challenging work, which is why we actually put an advisor on Illumina. We say, like, if you're not, come talk to us, because you may or may not be ready. This is deep work, and the only reason why it's so deep is that, you know, definitely from my own transformation, Victoria, and every person actually that's in this group right now, without the depth and the challenge of going really there we don't get to see the light that's really available to us. Because the deeper we can go this way, the higher we can go that way. And, you know, the duality, the piece of duality around science and self, feminine, masculine, you know, happy, sad, all of this, you know, this really is about, and again, I'll come back to the curriculum, is about how much can we hold as human beings? You know, how much are we prepared to hold as human beings? And from that, everything kind of grows. But in terms of like the check-in points, because I have just gone off on a tangent, sorry again. In terms of the check-in points that they get, there is a lot throughout the program, and people buddy up with each other as well. So we also have study buddies. We have gorgeous groups. We even have an amazing illuminator who also takes other people under her ring. This is just naturally, and they all magnetize. And
she loves family constellations, so she's doing a lot. She's doing like little study sessions for people on family constellations,
because it is so complex, and it's beautiful. And we're seeing that people are starting to niche now, very simply, whereas before it's like, well, I'm a coach, what do I coach people on? Now it's like, well, I'm a specialist in this, and I'm gonna, you know, work more with trauma informed and somatic work with my clients because I love it. And we're teaching people how to be, you know, be confident, and the clients be safe when they open the Pandora's box, which is getting opened a lot in our sessions. It could be time management, and the next minute we go into a childhood trauma, and they're getting to be confident with it. They're getting to know what to do with it, how to help with the symptoms of it. Whereas before, certainly years ago, I wouldn't have had a clue. I wouldn't have had a clue. So
when I was first a coach, I was scared to death that I was going to open up trauma for someone. And now, obviously now, everyone has it. Big T's, little t's, whatever it is. So I remember there was one student specifically, I think she was only halfway through the course, and she managed to help someone through a trauma response to something that came up. And for that, to someone who hasn't even completed a course, I was just blown away. And it was testament to, you know, her intuition and the skills she'd learned as well, and her confidence level.
And the support she had as well from the supervision and the mentoring. I think that's the number one concern that new coaches have, is opening Pandora's box. So they try and avoid it as much as possible, but of course it's our duty
why they
to
don't
do
get
it.
The results.
And then how do they deal with it? Because they might just trigger something. So I think you're addressing what is probably the number one worry that most coaches have, is going somewhere where they don't feel comfortable because they don't have the skills or they don't have the training. But because you've got that supervision, that mentoring, those facilitators who have become natural mentors and think that's what I gravitate towards, that's going to be my specialism, supporting each other. Yeah, you've created a lovely community, and it's going to evolve naturally, because although people will always want you ladies, Susie and Victoria, you know, if you're going to reach the widest possible audience internationally, you have to grow the next level of trainers below you and so on, in order to do the most good and widen that ripple effect. So it's nice to see that that's happening organically already within your community.
We're just starting our international takeover as well, aren't we, Susie, with Dubai coming up? So
we've got our first global ambassador in Dubai. So yes, and I've actually got a meeting after this. So really, really excited, because I couldn't be any more clear on this. Like, no matter what, the world needs more of this. And whether it's Illumina or whether it's another provider who is doing, you know, similar amazing work in the world, there is no more time than we're being called right now to hold more, to be, you know, able to sit in the room with pain, because there is a lot of pain out there at the moment, and being anger. Able to, and anger, frustration, everything is coming up. So it's almost like we are here to be able to help people to hold that and work through that and illuminate the way for them too. But obviously we come first, because then we're able to do it for others. And therefore, you know, and this isn't, people use light workers as such a kind of light sense. Light workers is powerful. We need more power, and light is powerful. And this really is the time where the world needs this, like, you know, 100%. And we can see it through our community, we can see it through the world, we can see it through what's being fed back to us. But you know, this is training. I want to be clear, this is accredited trained to be a coach, but also so much more than that. Because
I mean, I saw on the website you said train as an IAPC&M masterful coach, and I like that as opposed to saying master coach, because I think there's that's quite misleading, because you don't become a master coach until you've served your apprenticeship, but you can become masterful
yes,
very early on when you've got the right tools. So I like the fact that you made that distinction.
Yeah, and you're right, it is about the apprentice, and it's we said about this before, didn't we? Talked about silver bullets. There are no silver bullets, because no matter what anyone tells you in life, and it doesn't matter what we're learning, by the way, it's going to take practice. It takes practice, it takes persevering, and the more that you do that with something you enjoy and fulfills you and lights you up, the more you become masterful of it. And that is actually the fulfilling part. The fulfilling part is seeing the progress, seeing these women grow, seeing ourselves evolve through this process. And we invest a lot in our own training, a lot in our own mentorship. So we take this really seriously because it's really important. We don't just stop at a moment in time. Time continues, as do we. And if we're talking about an evolution, then that is essentially what happens. We're all changing. So for us, it is about like mastery, but also, you said it before, Dawn, it's about this, how do we self-master? Because once we can, you know, work through that, then we can enable others and help others to go on that journey too.
Yeah, it's very much that old adage, isn't it? Put your own oxygen mask on first, and then you can be of service to others. And when you've got the skills, you can offer the modalities that is going to get them to their safe point the quickest, etc. So I'm just conscious of time, ladies. I said I wouldn't keep you very long. Describe, if you would, your ideal candidate, student who's going to join your community and train to be a masterful coach.
Susie, do you want to go?
I'll leave this to you, Victoria.
We have got a plethora of different women, but I would say either a new or existing coach. We have aspiring coaches as well, by the way, that join us, who recognize that there is a mind, body, soul approach to transformation, who recognize that in order to heal and transform others, they have to do the work and heal and transform themselves, and who is fully all in on making the impact they want in the world, no matter where they need to go to make that happen, if that makes sense. Because like Susie says, we have an advisory, like they're going to go there, they are going to delve deep into their own shadow in order to be able to shine the light and attract others. So it's really for those women who a lot of them say it's like, it's my time. If it's not now, it's never. We get a lot of women who are turning milestone birthdays who are like, I now realize I need to go all in on this. And like I said before, we get a lot of women who are very soulful and spiritual women, or have gone through, since especially COVID, like a spiritual awakening almost, who are very drawn to our modalities, whether they've heard of them or not. So I'd say they are our women who are courageous, women who are ready to go there. And like I said before, we are getting a real mix of already trained coaches, very new coaches who maybe haven't done like accredited or certified coaching training, and also women who have never done any sort of training, who are ready to start creating impact and start creating that life and business that they don't want to escape from. And a lot of our women have experienced a lot in their life. They've all got amazing stories, experienced varying levels of trauma or grief, shame, and they realize that they want to turn their story into someone else's survival guide, which is one of our students' lives. Yeah.
I think one of the things that we recognize, and I say we, you know, as I said to you, I've just turned 60, but I think it comes with a certain amount of wisdom that you then realize everybody is just like you. There's that acceptance that we've all got shame, we've all got trauma, we've all got grief, we've all got success. You know, it's how we perceive these things, and whether our head is in the past or the future rather than the present. But we are all, I love the Pema Chodron quote, where just like me. And I think this a lot when I'm stood in the supermarket and I'm feeling, you know, perhaps a little bit sad about something or happy about something. And I look at people, I think, just like me, or I'm stuck in a traffic jam, just like me. You know, we're not all so very different, actually. And I think that's what we learn, is that it's very easy when we start talking that there's a community, that there's support, and there's a lot of shared experiences out there, and we can help each other. So I think talking is probably the key to that, isn't it?
Talking's amazing. And what we see on every single live call we do, every single topic we talk about, is like every single time someone shares something or something comes up, everyone else is like, oh my goodness, this is like, I'm going through this right now, or oh my goodness, I was exactly there a couple of months ago, or they're just about to go through it. So you really do. Yeah. One of our students said, first of all, she was like, I'm 52, how do I not know this? But then she's like, everyone experiences this, everyone feels this, everyone thinks this. So it's a real, that I think when Susie also says it's like coming home, you're coming home to yourself, but you're also coming home to feeling like you belong. Because you realize
you do that by getting rid of the ego.
And I think in the connectedness is what you're describing there, that we are all connected, but a lots of time we create chasms of separateness from each other, because either we can't bear to look at it, or we don't want to be it, or we don't want to believe it. But actually, when you create that connectedness, I was actually talking to someone about this the other day, you feel like you belong. And when you feel like you belong, you're unstoppable. Like when you feel like you're all on the same page, no matter what, like you're all on journeys, but just at different points, there's almost like there can be no judgment, because either you've experienced it, you're experiencing it, or you're going to experience it. And therefore I am. And that is actually what I feel is being created just within the community, is this connectedness, this like, because you said we do all experience, you know, shame, trauma, anger, you know, embarrassment, guilt, whatever the things are. But when you understand again that you are all literally having this, that it's not exclusive, it doesn't discriminate, actually that's where you can start leveraging yourself.
Once we realize that we're all imperfect and perfect as we are, once we accept that's a big thing, the perfectionism, isn't it? That illusion, that ego.
Yes.
So Victoria, you mentioned just before we started the recording that it's an evergreen program. So how does somebody join and take advantage of all these beautiful modules that you've created?
So right now we're enrolling for January. And we've got some amazing bonuses, limited edition bonuses, to help them heal, transform, and train further. So we've got leadership programs, conscious money coach programs, healing sessions, and a business mastermind, in addition to everything else that Illumina already is. So we recognize there's a lot of women who are wanting to join and start January. But we do have some women who are like, I need to start now, you know, for whatever reason. So we do facilitate that. But like I say, our next main cohort is starting January. So yeah, November is a fabulous time for people joining at the moment.
And I know that anybody can find you on the IAPC&M directory. You're listed on the individual Find a Coach page as trainers, and you're also in the training provider directory. Where else can people find you if they just want to keep, you know, digging deeper into who you are, what you do, and where you do it?
Yeah, the best place to go is thehouseofillumina.com, and that's got everything on there, everything current, and also all our social profiles, the House of Illumina as well. So super easy to find us there, and then they can find Susie and I through those channels as well.
Right. Now, I know you've had an incredible year training, and you've, graduated some of the next great coaches, and you'll be doing more of that next year, but we still want to book you to do some masterclasses for our existing community, because I think what you're offering, as we've already said, is valuable to existing coaches, not just aspiring coaches. So I hope we'll see you delivering some of your, either a particular model or a module rather, as a sort of intro paid for coach training, or some masterclasses. So I hope we'll see more of you ladies next year.
You will. I think you're seeing us January.
Yeah, good. Okay.
Yeah.
Well, thank you very much for spending this. Well, we've just gone over the half-an-hour stage with me. It's really enlightening. And I'm sure a nice reference point when prospects come to us to say, we really like the House of Illumina, and could you tell us more? I can now point them in the direction of this video, and then they can speak to you directly. So thank you. I appreciate
Thank you,
your time.
Dawn.